Hi everyone, I'm going to talk to you today about getting focused, how to achieve artwork excellence for pharmaceutical. So first of all, who I am. My name is Jackie Leslie and I'm with Blue Software. I've been 22 years in IT and project management consulting, and about 12 years of that's focused on brand management. So my role is really to help organizations identify opportunities to increase speed to market, drive brand consistency, and also to improve the quality of labeling and marketing collateral. So I'm going to talk today about metrics, and so you might be thinking, why do we care about metrics? Maybe. We care about metrics because metrics can give you the information you need to make decisions that will get product to market faster. In a nutshell, that's basically why we're talking about this today. And the Rubik's Cube really represents the complexity or the orchestration, or maybe alignment is a better word, of everything that needs to occur to get artwork released. And everybody in this room probably knows that creating and changing artwork is fairly complex because there's a lot of people involved. We have regulatory, we might have R&D for formulation ingredients, may have branding and marketing, legal, quality, pack development for the dye line, and technical specifications. And so all of these people and parties must be aligned in order to get that label signed off. And so there's a lot of complexity in managing that. So we're going to talk about metrics. So we're focusing basically on 5 KPIs today. And just running through these, we have our ship date variance, we have rejection reasons, so why are things sent back for rework? We're talking about cycle time, number of cycles, and percentage right first time. So we work with a lot of clients in the retail, consumer goods, and pharmaceutical area, or life sciences. And we have various KPIs for all of our clients, but these seem to be the common 5 that most if not all of our clients use. And so we'll just run through each of these and talk about them in a little bit more detail here. So the ship date variance is basically your variance between when you planned on shipping something and when you actually shipped something. So we've got a couple examples here, 4 and 30 days, but really it's just that timeline management. And for pharmaceutical companies, it might be a release date or something that's being driven by regulatory to get a new package released because there's a new regulation that needs to be represented on the label. So why is this important? It's product time in market. That's what's driving these dates, is getting your product out to market. So that's why it should be important. And if you can get something to market faster, then that's going to presumably deliver more value, more dollars to your company. And then the third one for the people in this audience really is the regulatory compliance component, making sure that you have your labels out into the marketplace that fully comply with all of the regulations that you need to deal with in every region and country in the world. So what are some ways to improve ship date variance? Measure. I mean, that's really the starting point here of this whole presentation, is being able to measure when you have these variances between when you wanted to release something and when you actually did release something. And visibility is key to that. You need to be able to have a window into what's happening in your artwork management process so that you can tell when things are going to miss dates. And then lastly, related to visibility, is being able to manage your work in process and being able to track where everything is at any point in time. So rejection reasons is the next one. So these are all of these things that cause artwork to go back for another cycle. So it could be copy changes, it could be design changes, it could be a claim wrong, it could be color or translation errors. So there's a whole long list of things that could cause artwork to be sent back for a change. So why is this important? You may not know what's causing your rework. It may be speculation that you're coming up with the reasons of what's causing rework if you're not measuring it. So again, it comes back to measuring what is causing the rework that you have. And this rework will give you that insight into process improvement opportunities. So for example, if 80% of your changes are due to copy, then that's probably indicating that there's something further upstream that you can do to help manage that copy process before it gets to the label, so that you're not going through all that churn. So this is really about identifying process improvement opportunities. Ways to improve rejection reasons: analyze. Once you have the metrics, take a look at what's causing things to be rejected, and then prioritize, put things in order. So again, if you've got 80% of your changes due to copy, then that's going to be probably your number one hit list of things to address. And then go down the list and start knocking down the dominoes and the reasons why you're getting this churn. Number 3 is cycle time. So this is how long does it take to route something through for approval? And why is this important? Again, time is money, and if it's a long cycle, then it's costing you money. And this is also, there's a number of ways that you can route things for approval, and we can talk about sequential approvals versus parallel approvals. So there's some things that you can do in the approval cycle that will really reduce that window that's required to approve a file. So what are some ways to improve cycle time? Again, a digital workflow. So if you think about the most common, I'll call them manual types of workflows that we see, are the hard copy job folder, going from one person to the next. So it's a very paper-based, very manual, sequential process. And so that represents time, because that folder needs to find its way to everybody's desk, and you're going through one after the next. The other common way that we see is email, PDF and email. The biggest problem with that, though, is that once you send, if you have 6 approvers, once you send that file out to 6 people, now you've got 6 versions of that file being proofed. So now somebody needs to manage those 6 versions and consolidate all of the comments. So that's all adding time to your process. Those 2 scenarios can effectively go away if you're using a digital workflow to manage the cycles. Open up access. So we've talked about all of these people who are involved in the process. We've talked about regulatory, quality, legal, marketing, R&D, and so on. But you also have, if you work with external partners, and probably most of you do, you have your agencies, your pre-media shops, you have your printers. If you're working in a digital environment, you can pull these people right into your cycles, so you're getting their input at the right time and helping with those cycle times. And then thirdly, track comments and signatures. And you'll be doing this now in whatever form you're doing it, because you have to be doing it with the industry that you're in. But if you can do it electronically, all in this digital workflow system, then you have that record. It's immediately available to you whenever you need it. Number 4 is number of cycles. So this is how many times do you have to route through this process before you get approval. And so in this example, we have 3 little arrows being drawn here representing the 3 cycles that it takes to approve this file. So why is this important? The X factor, the multiplication factor. If you have a lot of approvers and they're doing things multiple times, then you have a lot of time and effort being spent on these multiple cycles. And it's not only that, it's if an artwork is going back for change, then you're also introducing the possibility that an error is getting introduced when that change is made. If the production artist accidentally shifts something or moves something or does something to that Illustrator file, then now you've opened up the window to some change getting introduced in that artwork that could be an issue. So the other factor is the agency charges. Every cycle that you go through is costing you money, whether it's an external agency or internal. There's a hard cost associated to that. But with external agencies, you could also have these overage charges. So for example, an agency might say that after 3 cycles, there's an additional charge on top of that. So you're paying these charges so basically these cycles are not just costing you time, they're also costing you hard dollars with the people who are doing that work. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly on this list, is the sanity of the team. If people are having to look at things 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 times, then that's a lot of effort for the approval of one artwork. So the smaller the number, the happier team is going to be. So ways to improve number of cycles. Clear roles and responsibilities and complete input. So this is really making sure people know what they're responsible for and making sure that they have the right information to do their job. For example, if I'm approving pharmaceutical marketing collateral and there's a claim being made on that document, make sure that I have the supporting material, that claim substantiation material. Make sure that I have that when I do the approval. Don't make me go hunting for it, and don't make it hard for me to do my approval. Make sure that I have everything that I need and I'm clear on what I need to do. Again, strengthen your process with software. There's a number of ways that some software tools can help you not only manage the metrics of number of cycles, but also improve your cycles and cut down what you need by making sure that people have the right things available to them at the right time. An example of this would be an automated comparison between two versions of a file. So for example, if I'm seeing a file for the second time in cycle number 2, a system should be able to automatically compare those two files for me. So that not only confirms that I have that the artwork contains the changes that I and everyone else have requested, but it also lets me confirm that nothing else was accidentally introduced into this version of the file without anybody being aware of it. And then thirdly, consider reducing the number of people that you have doing approvals. And this may not be appropriate for you if you've already got very clear roles and responsibilities, but I wrote a paper last year about this bystander effect, and it's basically, if something occurs and there's 20 bystanders watching this occurrence happen and something needs to be acted upon, if I'm one of these 20 people, I may not do something because there's 19 other people that probably will, right? So that's kind of what the bystander effect is all about. So in terms of artwork management, if there's 10 people responsible for approving an artwork and I'm one of those 10, I might think, this looks pretty good to me, and if there is something wrong with it, I work with 9 really bright people and one of them is going to catch it. So we lose accountability. The more reviewers and approvers there are, there's a reduced sense of accountability. So making sure, again, this gets back to roles and responsibilities, making sure that people are clear on what it is that you're asking them to do. Number 5 is percentage right first time. So this really ties into the cycles that we've been talking about. And an example of this, we worked with a client a few years ago, and they threw, it wasn't just technology being introduced, but they went from 50% right first time up to 80% right first time. And they did that with a combination of technology to support their changed process and a clearer definition of roles and responsibilities for what people were trying to do. So they went from 50% to 80%, and that was their target. They really wanted to improve their percentage right first time. And so that was a significant savings to them in the business to be able to reduce that workload on people by getting up to that 80% mark. Why is it important? It reduces stress and increases harmony in your team, clear accountability, and then lastly, you're doing more with less, because if you're now up to that 80% or better mark, then people are seeing artwork a lot fewer times. They'll be a lot more productive with their other responsibilities. So ways to improve right first time. Get the brief right. Make sure people know what they need to do. Make sure the reference material is easy to find and everybody has everything they need to do their job. And then lastly, track and learn. The example that I just used about the client going from 50% to 80%, it didn't happen overnight. They gradually got up to that 80% mark, and they did it by tracking and looking at what the results were, making improvements along the way, and it was a gradual curve up to that 80% number. So we've covered these 5 KPIs, and again, there are more KPIs that we could talk about, but these seem to be the consistent thread that we see across our client base of what's important for them to track and measure. So one other thought that I'll leave you with here is gaining insights and impact with software. So this diagram that you see here is very common methodology to use for consultative work, like process improvement work, for example. So we always talk about these three components. We talk about process, people, and then the tools to support them. So also related to this, there's these three modules that we'll talk about in terms of metrics. So how does this all tie into metrics? Because remember that you're not going to be able to make these kind of 50% to 80% right first time improvements just by focusing on one of these three bubbles. There's a lot more to it. You need to look at the underlying tool sets. You need to look at the processes that you're following and how the people are organized and what their roles are and how they're aligned with the organization and the process and what tools support them. So it's a very much all the three circles go together. In terms of the software tools, though, what can help in terms of the metrics that you're trying to measure are for digital workflow, for example, and we've talked about digital workflow a little bit already, but what it gives you is instant availability to these metrics that you're trying to track. So you may have, even without using any kind of technology, you may already be tracking those 5 metrics that I've talked about. But if you're doing it manually, it's taking you time to collect all of that information, track it all, report it all, get it all into a spreadsheet and charts and whatnot. If you have a digital workflow system in place, those metrics are instantly available to you at any time, so they're very quick and accurate. Auto cycle capture is a example of that. So you can have a systematic way of inserting cycles when things get rejected, and also full visibility and transparency. So at any point in time, you have a view or a dashboard into everything that's happening. So you have that information at your fingertips. Online proofing increases reviewer speed. And so this is just basically using a web browser to do artwork approval. So it's getting those approvals out of email and out of this manual hard copy job folder and putting it into a system. And without exception, our clients, when they switch to an online proofing tool, they increase reviewer speed. There's electronic logs of change requests, so if changes are requested, they go right into the proofing window, so everything's all consolidated in one place. And again, you have full visibility and clear change control of who's asking for what and when it was done. And I already mentioned the ability to compare 2 files to each other to show you systematically the differences between versions of files. So these are great time-saving tools and great ways to collect the metrics. And then lastly, Digital Asset Library. This is the repository. So this is where all of your versions of files go. It allows you to find approved artwork faster. So 6 months from now, if you need to find that latest artwork that's been released and all of the supporting document and the audit trail and all of the history that goes with it, the Digital Asset Library gives you that. So it makes it faster to find things and easier to collect your metrics as well. So that's really what I wanted to cover with you today, the 5 metrics and different tools and techniques of how you can collect the metrics and also what you can do with the metrics and improve. So how to get started. If you want to continue this conversation, visit us on our website and we'd be happy to talk about what metrics you're tracking and how we can help you do that. Thank you.